Hi, here's my April update on the Malaysian My Second Home program. First, let me quickly mention the status of the announcement of the revised program. Apparently, the consulting company that's been looking into it has made the recommendations to the minister. She appears to have accepted them, and it now rests with the cabinet to finally approve them so they can restart the program. Exactly what changes were made is not being clarified, so not a lot I can tell you more than that, but as soon as I know more details, I'll obviously share them. Some other points, the visa renewals, which a lot of people have been caught with their visas expired overseas. Immigration is adamant that people have to wait until the borders are open before they can come back and renew the visas. That's not something we endorse, and we think it's very regrettable, but that's the decision that's been made. Similarly, those people who are traveling from 23 countries identified as high COVID-19 countries are still not allowed in the country back in Malaysia. So that's something we again strongly disagree with, because they're letting in Malaysians from those places, they're letting in people with work permits from those countries, but for some reason MM2Hs are not allowed in. Similarly, people who left the country after March 18th, when the first lockdown came about just over a year ago, are also not being allowed to come back into the country. There's only a few hundred people, so it wouldn't be a big deal to let them in, but apparently they won't. People ask, why is it that they are discriminating against MM2H visa holders? And from what I gather, and this is not official, but feedback from various people, the main reason is because they worry that since a lot of the MM2Hs are older people, they're more at risk for COVID-19, more likely to be hospitalized, and they don't want them occupying beds they might need for Malaysians. The trouble is that even though one can argue it's a theoretically sound position, there's no evidence that MM2Hs are getting COVID-19. In fact, I haven't heard of a single case yet, although no doubt there are a few, but they're really not taking up hospital beds, so they should know by now that that's not an issue. Secondly, some people in the government are saying, well, it's a second home program, why don't they go back to their first home? Now, the problem here is that it's a new government, they're not familiar with the program, and apparently no one's told them that for 20 years the program has been marketed as Malaysia being a great place to relocate and retire. So for a lot of people, this is not their second home, it's their first home, and the government knows that. And of course, more importantly, these are people who contribute the most to the country. So if anyone deserves to come back into the country, they do. Sadly, the government's not allowing for the time being. I have written a number of stories about it on our website, expectgo.com. I also recently wrote a letter to the Star newspaper, which was published, saying please let these people come back, but so far no response by the government. Another matter which has come up is how do MM2Hs get permission to exit the country and return? Now, there is actually an online form for people with work permits, but it does not include those with MM2H visas. But apparently what you can do is you can go on the My Travel Pass form, complete that, and that's on the immigration website, before you leave the country, stating that you're currently in Malaysia and would like to travel overseas. You've got to have a good reason, medical reasons, some business travel, whatever it is, you need to have a good reason. But the fact of the matter is, several people have done that, and they were given 90 days to make the trip with the guarantee they can come back. Otherwise, you can just leave and take your chances and apply for My Travel Pass. But it's a risky thing to do, given they seem to be somewhat prejudiced against the MM2H visa holders. On the issue of vaccinations, they've started vaccinating the frontliners. They should start vaccinating the over 60s this month in April. So that's progress. Apparently, there's about 9 million people in this second group, and only about 1 million have registered for the vaccination. So it's quite possible the under 60s will be brought forward if they express an interest in being registered. But there's a lot of social media out there talking about the dangers of vaccination, so it looks like a lot of Malaysians have been somewhat scared off. Anyway, we'll see how that progresses as the months go on. That, of course, leads to when will the borders be open, and that's the big issue. Malaysia has been very tough on border controls, and to be fair, they have done a very good job of controlling the spread of COVID-19. However, their border controls, while arguably very sound when it comes to not allowing tourists to come in, even though it's decimating the tourism industry in Malaysia, is concerning when people have visas valid visas to come into Malaysia and are not being permitted into the country. We hope that will change soon. Finally, let me remind you, we are an approved agent for Malaysia My Second Home, and if we can help you in any way, please use our services. We could use the money since the program has been suspended for so many months. By the way, if you want renewals and you're in Malaysia, that's very easy. We can help with that. And of course, we offer a free help desk for many hundreds of people who are seeking advice on things. We don't charge for that. You can read our magazine, The Expat, on our website, expatgo.com. So until next month, enjoy, stay safe. Bye.